expert. I have no formal education in medicine or psychology specifically. So if you're looking at this video for answers, I do not have them. I'm simply making these videos to give people an outlet or give people an understanding of my story and see if they can relate to it. I'm going to try and get other people on here that have other stories of their struggles with depression and anxiety or just mental health problems they've had in general. If you're looking for answers, I'm not going to promise them because I don't believe I currently have them. If you're really moving towards that place, I suggest you look for help from people who know what they're talking about, who have a better understanding of the area, people who are trained in the area. I'll try and find some resources, put them down below, but I think you need to get better help than I can provide. So I will look for some resources. I hope you find some for your own, but yeah, I hope you get the help that you need. So why am I here? Why am I making this channel? Why am I making this video? I feel I have a story to tell. I feel that mental health specifically is something that isn't really talked about, as far as from what I found and from what I know about the topic, especially. I know more recently more people have kind of come clean or brought into the public eye the problems that they've gone through or problems that people they know have gone through. I still feel like there's room to build off that there's more we need to share, more that people need to know. So I'm hoping by making these videos, making this channel, that I can kind of shed more light onto that, because I know a lot of people are going through it. A lot of just everyday people, not celebrities especially, but even they're going through it. But a lot of everyday people like myself are going through it, and they feel like they have no one to relate to. I know I felt like that. I felt like I was the only one in the situation that I was in. There was no one I could really talk to, or no one to really relate to, because I didn't believe it. I didn't think there was anyone that knew what I was feeling, or that if I tried to talk to someone, then they wouldn't understand what I was feeling. And part of that was my fault. Part of it was I had never been in a situation like that, physically or mentally. I didn't know how to put into words what I was feeling, and so I didn't know what to say, obviously, or how to put it in a way that someone would understand me. So that's kind of the overall goal. Give people someone to relate to. Use this channel as an outlet to bring people on so they can share their stories. So that way there's just more people to relate to. And so hopefully no one's ever in the situation I was in. Or if they are in the situation I'm in currently, then they can look to this channel as an outlet, someone they can relate to, someone they can see who has gotten through the hard part of it and is still going through it every day. But yeah, I just want to be an outlet, and I want to help people, especially. So my story starts about a year ago today, actually. What's today? January 27th, I believe. Yeah, January 27th. So it was about a year ago this time, 2020, before 2020 became 2020. And the 2020 we all know it to be. But yeah, I was just getting back to campus, getting back to UAB, University of Alabama at Birmingham, for people who don't know. But that's where I was going to school at the time. This time last year, I was entering my second semester there. Just came home for winter break, and I was just getting back. I was just getting back to what was going to be normal for the next 4 or 5 months, however long the second semester was supposed to be. As we all know, it wasn't really a whole second semester, as most people were required to leave their campuses, but that's besides the point. So yeah, I had left my home in Michigan, where my family currently lives, where I currently am. But I was supposed to leave on like a Friday, and the weather here was bad, and so my flight got pushed back to the next day. But I was kind of prepared to leave that day. The original day, I had kind of been, coming to terms with it for that week leading up to it. Yeah, I was just kind of getting mentally ready to go back to school, going back to what I had to do to get through the semester. But yeah, that kind of threw everything off when my flight got changed to the next day, and a few other things happened. But But yeah, that was the main thing. I was kind of mentally ready to go back that day and then have that Saturday and Sunday or whatever the days were to just get back ready for the semester, kind of get readjusted to being back in Birmingham, being away from my family again. But yeah, that all kind of got thrown out of whack before I even left. So that was kind of the start. That was kind of where the unsettled feeling, as I describe it, because I really don't know how else to put it, but that unsettled feeling first started. So I had Sunday to kind of get readjusted, which turned out not working well at all. I wasn't really readjusted at all when it came time to go to classes on Monday, and that just kind of led into to the overthinking, which led to the anxiety. I was questioning everything, why I was there. At the time, I was a pre-med major, why I was going pre-med, why I chose to go to UAB in the first place, why I went back after winter break. I was just questioning everything, and I was just at a loss for why I was in the place I was in. So those questions kind of led to I want to go home. Um, I wasn't readjusted, so I wasn't comfortable there. I wasn't happy there. Um, that eventually was the outcome of everything. I wasn't happy where I was, and I just wanted to go home to be comfortable with my family. That was kind of where it all started. I was unsettled. I wasn't comfortable. And I wasn't happy, and I eventually became homesick. Called my parents one night, not even a week after being back, but I called my parents and I said I want to come home, and they were like, "Well, what do you mean? You just got back. You're barely a week into the semester. Um, you can't come home. What do you mean you want to come home?" I said I don't want to be here anymore. I don't feel comfortable here. I don't feel settled again, and I was emotional. I was in tears. To them, I was just upset. I was just homesick. But to me, I had been overthinking everything for that whole week. I had barely slept because of it. I I just couldn't turn my brain off that whole week, and that's still something I struggle with now. Um, I just start thinking about things, and then it leads to another thought, and then 3 hours later, I'm still laying in bed. But that was what I had struggled with that whole week. I didn't know how to put that into words for them to understand, but that was what I was feeling. But to them, they just thought that I was homesick, so they were just saying, you gotta get readjusted. You haven't even been back that long, and so I stayed. Thankfully, I'm glad that they made me stay. I'm glad that they made me, as weird as that may sound, I'm glad that they made me go through that, made me experience that. But it wasn't easy. Um, with the anxiety came depression, as for a lot of people it does. But I just closed everyone out. Um, I just wanted to just stay in bed every morning. Trying to get out of bed was a struggle. I just didn't want to be around anyone. I felt alone, even when I was around people. I felt like I wasn't wanted there, or I don't know. I just didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel settled, as I said. But yeah, I didn't want to do anything socially. I didn't want to be around anyone socially. Not being around anyone just made me feel even more alone. That part of it I kind of put on myself, and I don't blame anyone for that. And I even recall people would always ask me, like, why why are you always why are you always by yourself? Why are you always in your room? Why don't you do anything like I did first semester? And I didn't know how to explain it to them. So yeah, um, thankfully I had people I could turn to, people that I felt comfortable with from when we lived there before. Um, so that was where I would end up going most weekends, because it was a place off campus. It was a place I felt comfortable being, obviously because it was someone's home, so it had that home feeling that I was missing, that feeling that kind of fulfilled the homesickness. But it was a place where I could just go and feel uh, actually relaxed. I was always stressed out being on campus, um, even if I wasn't around anyone, or even if it was at night and I had already finished all my work for the day. And yeah, it was just a place that I could feel Totally relaxed. Didn't have to worry about anything. Thankfully, they took really good care of me, treated me like their own family, and for that, I'll forever be grateful to them. The time that we spent together, I'll never want to forget. Even though I was struggling so much as I was, but yeah, I'll forever be grateful to them. And even though I may not have shared everything I was going through with them, I'm so thankful that I could turn to them, and they were someone that could help me get through it, even if they didn't know it. But yeah, so that's where I would go. And a lot of people would ask, why are you never on campus? Why are you always in your room? Why don't you do anything anymore? And I just didn't feel comfortable opening up to anyone, really, letting anyone in, and didn't know how to explain that to anyone. But so yeah, I kind of just struggled through the semester. Um, every week, every day got harder as I continued to lay awake at night and just overthink everything. And I kind of just did the best I could. I obviously didn't want to just give up on schoolwork because I knew the money that was going into me being there, and I didn't want to just waste that. So I got through it the best that I could. I don't want to say that I excelled at any degree, but I did the best I could. I didn't just waste the time that I had there. I tried to stay as busy as I could to try and keep my mind off of everything, but obviously there are those times where you have nothing better to do, and those were the worst times for me. Those were when my mind would wander the most, um, when just random thoughts would creep into my head, and then I would just not be able to slow down my brain, and it would just go from there. But thankfully, as weird as that may sound to hear, thankfully the semester was as short as it was. It wasn't a full 4 almost 5 months, but when COVID hit, I was already planning on coming home. Um, the week everything shut down was the week before my spring break was supposed to be, so I was already planning on coming home. But my parents actually decided early on to cancel my flight. I was originally supposed to just fly home for the week and then fly back to campus, but they decided early on when things started picking up around the world, not necessarily here in the United States, but around the world with the pandemic, they decided to just come and get me. They thought that would be the safer way to do it, and so my dad was actually planning on coming down, and he was going to get there that Thursday, so the Thursday before my spring break, and then we were going to go back Friday because I didn't have Friday classes second semester. But when he got there, um, that was when things were really starting to ramp up. I believe the NBA had just canceled their season either that Wednesday or earlier that Thursday. But yeah, everything was kind of starting to pick up, and we were both under the assumption, even before the school had said anything, that I wasn't going to come back after spring break because of what was more than likely going to happen and what eventually did happen. So we packed everything up. And yeah, that was pretty much it. We spent the night with those same friends that I would go and stay with on the weekends, and then we left early Friday morning and we came back, and that was pretty much it. Obviously, just leaving didn't make everything go away. Um, like I said a little bit earlier, I still struggle every now and again, but it's it's better. Uh, it's easier to deal with. I feel like, as odd as it may be to hear, I've kind of gotten used to it, and I can kind of sense when it's going to be one of those days now. A lot of times someone will say like, is something wrong, or are you okay, or something like that, and a lot of times I'll just say, oh yeah, I'm just tired, unless it's like my mom or my dad, and then I'll kind of kind of tell them it's one of those days. But when I hear someone say that, it kind of triggers to me like, okay, it's one of those days. I gotta be careful, because one of the times that it was one of those days, and this was still not long after I got home, I kind of let the feelings that I was having in the depression take a hold, and I lost control, and I actually ended up snapping on my parents. It's not something I was proud of. Obviously, you never want to make your parents upset. But we were sitting at the dinner table. We were just playing cards, and we were talking about what was going to be next, what I was going to do, because I had already made clear that I didn't want to go back to UAB, but what the fall semester, maybe even the summer semester, was going to look like. Was I going to take classes? Was I just going to take the summer and the fall off? Where would I take those classes? Did I have any idea of what my major was going to be? Because I had already also made the decision that I didn't want to continue with pre-med, but yeah, pretty much what was going to be next. And instead of verbalizing, letting them know that I was kind of overwhelmed by the conversation, and I didn't want to have it at the moment, and I just wanted to kind of relax and kind of put everything in the past as much as I could. I lost it. I lost control of my emotions. I lashed out at them, as much as I look back and hate having done that, but as bad as that was, it was almost a good thing, because they still hadn't really grasped what I was going through. Obviously they knew I was struggling because we continued to talk throughout the semester, but they didn't really understand, because they weren't there, and it's no fault of their own, but they didn't really understand how bad it had gotten. And so, as much as I hate having had that experience with them, and looking back, it was almost a good thing, because it kind of gave them a grasp of what was happening, what was going on. And I've even talked to my parents since then, and they both said, like, they didn't know it had gotten to that point, that I had been struggling with it, and it had gotten so serious. And they both said that, as bad as it was, me lashing out at them, it was a good thing, because it gave them an understanding of where I was, and it helped them to see that I really was struggling, and they needed to just give me some space. I needed to kind of work through some things on my own, and then when I was ready, I was going to talk to them, and we could figure out the future and kind of go from there. But yeah, that was one of the bad days. And since then, I've kind of taken notice when it's a bad day, and they still happen every so often. But I've taken notice and become more aware that I need to be more careful with my emotions, with my reactions to things. So yeah, so one day not long after that, it was my friend's birthday, and he had planned some things that he wanted to do for his birthday, and because of COVID, my parents weren't comfortable with one of the things, so I told them I couldn't do that, but I was going to meet up with them later that day. And so while they were doing what they were doing, I was just kind of hanging out here. And I don't remember what I did in the morning, but I finished whatever that was, and I sat down. I just remember sitting down and just feeling drained, and not wanting to even get up from wherever I sat down. But yeah, I just felt like I didn't want to do anything. And then I ended up just going and laying in my room, in my bed, and just not wanting to do anything. I closed the door and hoped that no one would ever open it. But it wasn't until my parents came in and were upset with me, they were like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm having one of those days. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to be around anyone. I don't want anyone to see me like this. And in my mind, I was doing the right thing. I was distancing myself from everyone so that way they didn't see me having to try and fake emotions, fake happiness. And I thought I was doing the right thing. But my parents helped me to see that sometimes you just got to fake it. Sometimes you have to fake happiness so that way you're not hurting other people. And it was then that I realized I was hurting him, even though I thought I was helping by not having to hide how I was really feeling. But it was his day, and it shouldn't have been about me in any way. And so I obviously apologized to him, but yeah, I ended up reconnecting with him that night and spent some time with him. And while I wasn't necessarily 100% happy, I had to fake it just so that way I could be with him and get to celebrate him like he deserved. But yeah, that was just another moment where I let my emotions kind of hurt other people. But so yeah, I've had to kind of become aware of when it's one of those days and realize that I can't let my emotions overcome me and I can't let them be what I use to hurt other people. So I've really become aware of that, and just had to grow. Just had to grow stronger mentally. I've actually started doing things physically to help me stay occupied, help my time just go by faster without having to become consumed with my thoughts and let those take over. But it's taken time. If you're seeing this, I hope you know that you're not just gonna wake up tomorrow morning and go back to the person you were, because as hard as it is to hear, that person's gone. I know I've gone through too much to go back to be the person that I was a year ago. Whenever your journey started, you're never going to go back to that person you were before. It took me a while to accept that. I didn't want to believe that person was gone, but I also started to believe that I was going to come out stronger on the other side, and I know that I have. I know that I've changed for the better. As low as those low points were, I know there are going to be highs, and I've already experienced some of them. And I know I'm just going to keep improving from here. And so that's my overall goal with this channel. Help people understand what they're going through and kind of relate it to what I'm going through. And yeah, hopefully you get some understanding of your struggles by seeing what I've gone through, what I've done to help get through what I'm going through. And so I hope this was helpful. And I know you may be seeing this and thinking, well, I'm not depressed, I'm not anxious, I'm not going through anything like what I just heard, like what I just told you in this video. But you never know. You may come across someone that you've known for a long time, and they may be going through what I'm going through. So by seeing this video, you can show it to them, or you can relate a little better to what they're going through. And yeah, so I hope that even if you're not the one struggling personally, that you can use this information to kind of educate yourself a little bit and kind of have a better understanding of what someone else may be going through. So thank you for taking the time if you made it this far. I know this is probably going to be a heck of a video, but yeah, thank you, and stay tuned for more.